Alright, let me show you all my latest idea that I think will be an advantage, a benefit, and I'm just so excited. I just got done doing this. I had to make a video, so sorry for being a nighttime video, but like I said, I'm excited. I want to share. So what I did here, let me get the lighting right, try to point when I talk. Basically, the way the pump used to be hooked up was coming down through the valve there. It's coming from up above is the sump, so coming down through the valve, it took a 90 and it went into the intake of the pump right there, and then pumped up and out that line, going back to the tanks. So none of this garbage right here was there. So what I've done, excuse me, I've added in basically a return loop, a return flow line, and the way this works is the drain here off the main manifold used to come through this valve, down and around. I'll explain that to you in a minute. Down and around, and it went straight out to the yard. That was my dump line, my sewer line, whatever you want to call it. I made a video when I put that addition in. Excuse me. Anyway, how this will work now is the problem that I ran into was when I do water changes, it was taking so freaking long to do a water change because I was trying to fill up with a garden hose, or I was using my little lawn sprinkler pump, which does like, I don't know, 100 gallons an hour or something like that. And well, I'm doing a, 150 or 200 gallon water change, so it takes forever just to sit there and just pump water. This big this big pump can go a heck of a lot faster. So what I'll be able to do now is, let's take for example, I'm doing a water change. I'll do one tomorrow and I can show you how it works. So let's say I'm going to drain that intake, it's got fish in it. Do a water change on it. So the first thing I want to do is I'll open up its valve and let it run down through the main manifold here and flush out. So this valve will be open, and this valve will be closed, and it'll just dump out in the yard. And I have to put a cap on the outside end for this to work, which I used to have one, but I had to rob that fitting. But that valve will be closed, and the pump won't be on. Now when I go to refill the tank that I've drained, instead of me sitting here running a garden hose into this tank and trying to warm it, and trying to heat it, and trying to figure all that out, what I'll do is I'll have a second tank that'll be pre-filled with water that's already conditioned to the right volume and right temperature. Good God, excuse me. So what I'll do when I'm ready to fill the tanks, shut the drain valve on this one. My light's going out. I'll shut the drain valve on that tank. I'll open the drain valve on this tank to let it take over flooding the manifold. This valve will stay open. I'll open this valve and I'll close that valve from the sump and then kick my pump on. And what that will do is it will let the pump actually pull water from the fresh tank through this line, through this valve, into the pump, and then push it out and into the tank that I want it to do. So basically it'll accelerate water changes significantly, and it will also give me the option to, if I need to quickly, if I had to quickly drain a tank or fill a tank or equalize volumes or do anything like that, I can do it much good grief, much faster. Now for the T that I promised to explain, this line is going to come up a 1-inch line off that, just come up here, and I'm going to tee into the side of my swirl filter with a uniseal. So when I go to flush the swirl filter and drain the swirl filter, I don't have to siphon the water out, because the way I was cleaning the swirl filter was I was having to stir it all up and then siphon it out. And well, it only takes about, I don't know, a half a mouthful of fish poop water to make you stop wanting to pull a siphon on that. So now I'll be able, when I want to clean the swirl filter as part of the water change, I always clean the swirl filter. When I go to clean the swirl filter, shut that valve, shut this valve, open the ball valve that'll be right here, and it'll drain right into the sewer line and drain out into the yard. So a couple of additions on this video, but like I said, I'll definitely make a video when I do the next water change that shows how it all works, so maybe it'll make a little bit better sense. But I think this is certainly a good addition, and it actually all worked out pretty well. I had that valve there used to be over there, and it was glued right into the intake of the pump. And when I went to take it out, of course the fittings were glued, but actually this elbow right here used to be turned completely opposite, and this joint right there There's a thread, that's a thread to slip, a 2-inch thread to slip right there where my light is. That used to be threaded into the pump. So I had a 2-inch thread to slip adapter, female adapter, and was able to actually just turn this valve around. So that spur, or nipple if you will, slick nipple, whatever you want to call it, that's right here, used to go into that rubber bushing right there above the valve. So actually it all worked out. I was able to use all the same valve, didn't have to actually cut or didn't have to modify that at all, just change the position that it was in. And then of course the extra pieces. This little jog was a mismeasurement, and by mismeasurement I mean lack of measurement. So I did have to put that little jog in right there, but luckily I already had those fittings on hand. So these little 22.5 inch or 22.5 degree elbows have come in real handy. I had to use one there to make that jog work, and of course I had to use one right here to make this jog work so I could get this line down under the 2x4. So anyway, enough rambling about the modification and the hopeful improvement, and we'll show it to you in action on the next video.